I think we heard in Phil's presentation a conversation that the province wanted the focus of their bill to be, we're bringing housing to your neighborhood. It's going to be overriding those NIMBYs, bringing that kind of density that we require to build 15-minute communities that work for everybody, and that accommodate the growth that we're going to have. And that's not what's actually happening here, but this is one of the potential triggers that could theoretically assist the sort of waiving of site plan control for 10 units or less, because the kind of buildings that have sort of 10 units or less tend to be those that might fit at the edges of neighborhoods, or that people like environmental defense and the broader movement were advocating were allowed to bring into existing neighborhoods, being able to build small apartments like we were doing until the 70s, to be able to have more neighbors that fit in with community. And so on the one hand, eliminating sort of site plan control as a tool for those small scale developments that could fit inside neighborhoods could make those easier to do. Could make it, if the municipality allowed them to be built, then it would make them easier to build and faster to build with sort of fewer regulations, cheaper to build, which might make the money work. So you would actually see people do it, because it's not onerous. It's one of those red tape things that I can understand. But on the other hand, convincing communities that you rezone neighborhoods to provide for small apartments was probably premised on selling folks that weren't quite NIMBYs, but weren't quite convinced that welcoming more neighbors was a good thing. Well, at least we can have some, impact on design so that it can fit into the existing character of neighborhoods. So I think the politics of building in more density, more gentle density in neighborhoods like we were doing in the 60s and 70s is going to be harder because of the elimination of the exterior design part. Even as it's easier because of not requiring site plan for 10 units or less. So that's sort of part of the yin and yang of that will make it. It's what Phil was talking about them doing one thing, but then undoing it in a different breath when they're speaking to sort of the densification aspects of this bill. So that's sort of where the site plan control piece sits. Those are rarely public processes anyways, because it is a very technical exercise that staff go through, but they're based on these guidelines that communities might have come to expect in their neighborhoods, or certainly might need if you were going to be able to convince councils and neighborhoods to accept more density through zoning changes.